So, Luke, thank you once again for joining me on the Quantum Creating Podcast. I'm super, super excited to have you here, my friend. And I would take this opportunity to wish you a Happy New Year as well, man.
And to you too, mate, of course.
And Happy New Decade, of course.
That's it. 10 years since 2010. I was thinking about that the other day. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Do you know, I'm slightly older than your good self. And I actually have this really defined memory of standing in an old upstairs corridor with my dad and him explaining to me the start of a new decade, and it was 1980.
Right. Okay.
It's like, whoop, where's that gone, you know?
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. It's amazing how quick time goes, man. Amazing.
It really is. It really is. And maybe that's the subject for another podcast. But I'm super delighted to have you here because I've known you for a little while now. We've actually met face to face as well, which is great in today's, social media only age. And you've traveled so far. You've got such a great backstory. A backstory that some would look at and say is really hard, must have been really difficult to overcome. How did you overcome it, my friend?
Oh, well, do you want us to tell you how I overcame it, or do you want us to go into the story?
Let's go into the story first of all, because I think it's got value for so many people that seem to be struggling with stuff these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so without going too much into detail, because the story extended could take a whole day, but going from school days, great childhood for me. That's one thing I'm very, very privileged about, and very, I'm fortunate that my childhood was great, but it all started in school for me with the bullying. It was quite relentless. I was never really physically attacked. It wasn't a physical abuse kind of thing. I was pushed over and shoved and stuff, but it was the name calling, the consistent tripping over in the corridor, having things thrown at you, being spat on the bus. That was a particular memory that I have. That is I'll never forget that. And it led to a lack of self-worth over the years. And I used to get very, very, very angry to the point I tell people I had this roses tin, which probably some people, I don't know if they still sell them, but people get them for Christmas, the tins of roses with all the chocolates in.
Yeah.
And I used to punch that till my hand bled.
Wow.
And I used to get seriously fucking angry. But I wasn't a violent, aggressive person. I didn't get into fights, but I was angry with myself more so. I think because I didn't fight back. I didn't start obviously it was always strength in numbers with bullies.
Yeah, of course.
3, 5, 7 over 1. And, when you're a young kid, who's scrawny, insecure, it affected us quite negatively. And so growing into an adult, there was the positive about that was actually thanks, Don. The positive about that was the fact that it got me into training.
Right.
I started in school to lift weights. So I went into a class, and I found I enjoyed the stress relief, if you will, the physical exertion. So I got into lifting weights from that, and I channeled a lot of that aggression into lifting the weights, which was the catalyst for obviously helping what I do now, which is help people not just in a mental capacity but in a physical capacity as well. But from there, from school, it was I went into college. I got into the cocaine, I got into the ecstasy, I got into the weed. I dropped out of college. I got a plumbing apprenticeship. And that was pretty cool for the first few years, learning new skill, getting around new people, just a new environment, earning a wage, getting a car, getting a house, all that stuff that you're supposed to do in life.
Almost like a traditional type upbringing in that regard.
Yeah, very much so. And I had a great childhood in terms of, I remember on Christmas, because obviously this time of year, I remember not getting everything I wanted, but I got everything I needed.
Right.
And there was times that I didn't quite realize that. I think sometimes I was like, oh, why didn't I get? And then I looked at other kids and it was like they got everything totally, totally spoiled. And I never went without. I always got cool stuff, but I never got everything I asked for. And but that in life taught me to not want so much all the time, to be quite happy with what I've got, right? Which is kind of give me a little bit more of an attitude of gratitude, if you will, as cliche as that might sound, yeah? But, however, moving forward from there, when I was a plumber, first few years were great, earning a wage, having a house, having a car, strain of troubled relationships along the way, because I was still taking cocaine every other weekend.
Right.
I was partying to the max on the weekends, which was leading us down a hungover, depressive, come down every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, feeling terrible, trying to get back on track, always start my diet on Monday, living the cycles, cheating on ex-partners, you know, being generally a bit of a dick at times, I think, although I tend not to remember very much of that. Okay. But I suffered with the anxiety for a long time. It got to the point in my work when I was a plumber. I was perfectly confident in my job, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to that. Like, they're very confident at work because they do it every day, right? But when it comes to themselves, they lack the self-confidence.
Right.
And a lot of people say that. It's like they go outside, they put the happy mask on, they're confident. Everyone's like, yeah, he's confident. He can do he or she can do a job. And everyone from the outside looks in and thinks, well, you've got what you're supposed to have. You should be very happy. You've got the house, you've got the secure job,
yep.
Right? You've got the pension, you've got the sick pay, you've got the flexi time. It was like, whoa, this is a good package.
Everything what society tells you you're supposed to have, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, you've got the skill set, you've got the hot girlfriend, you've got an Audi car, you've got your own home, and it's like, whoa, why am I feeling this anxiety, this disconnect, this feeling like I want to escape all the time? So a lot of that was down to my job. I started to really dislike my job.
Right.
To the point where I was panicking at work, near panic attack. So I went to the doctors. I got the pills for anxiety. I didn't actually take them. I think I was terrified to even take them because I think it was one of them things of, what if I get addicted to these? Because I had the addictive personality. Once I liked the cocaine. I didn't have it all the time, but when I did have it, I went a bit overboard, and I liked to drink. Right. Like I said, didn't have it all the time.
Situation, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a weekend kind of thing. But as soon as I had it, it was like, right, let's just expand this use and get like a month's worth of use in one day.
Whoa.
Yeah, so just crazy, you know, like crazy mindset. Like an all or nothing kind of thing, right? So then from there, it was, I left my job, and it kind of got to the point where enough was enough. I had to move out of my house and move back in with one of my parents to save money to fund what is now the current private gym that I have. Started with outdoor boot camps, started coaching people in a group environment outdoors with a little music system, learning a lot along the way, courses, mentors, everything. All the overwhelm came, running your own business, feeling terrified, feeling isolated, going back and forward, trying to get this new way of living, etc. And along the way, it's been an accumulative a journey, if you will. And I always say to people as well, Paul, that it's still a journey.
Cool.
Like, I haven't reached the destination where that's it, I'm happy, I've succeeded, I've figured it all out. Like, I don't know everything. I know a lot, and I've definitely got a lot of wisdom, knowledge applied, that I've used and applied relevantly to my life, most definitely. And I'm probably pretty good at giving advice, but I'll always treat this as a journey.
Right, yeah.
There will
be white belt mentality, right?
Yeah, there will be slips and falls. There will be times when, like, my mind will go back to there, because if I lived a certain way for a decade, there's a lot of ingrained things in there. And even though I've overcome a lot of it, there's still times where that doubt does slip in. And I'd be like, right. Then I've obviously got tools to say, right, come on, look, we're past that. We're a higher standard now. We're a different person. We're not that same person, but obviously it's ups and downs, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
that helps me as well. The big thing about that, Paul, as I say, there's a journey, is because most people are seeking the destination.
Yeah, of course.
I'll be happy when, but I started to realize that was my mentality as well. Well, when I make this money, I'll be happy. When I've got this many clients, I'll be happy. When I've got this position in a relationship, I'll be happy. Then I started to realize, no, when I'm happy, and I'm happier in me, and I've got more sense of direction, and I feel like I've got more self-control and calm, and I'm a little bit more excited for life rather than anxious, then those things will start happening. And it did. Things started happening when I became happier. There was a lot of internal work going on there. So a lot of self-study, a lot of investing in courses, mentors. That's where we met. We met on a course with a couple of fantastic mentors in Brian and Carrie. And along the way, it's just a process of building and building and building, and also a process. I always say this, like I write this in my journal every day. My purpose is expansion through self-creation.
Yeah, I love
that's the first thing I write. And I truly believe that's it. It's to expand through self-creation. So that's always about me going inward to express the out, if that makes sense.
I love that, because I think it, as I'm sure you'll agree with, it all starts internally. So every state we have, every experience we have, everything we see begins inside. So to start from there and to expand outwards rather than looking the other way is a great place to start. I'm interested. so you had these issues of self-loathing and anxiety and almost punishment at school. You took them through the drug and the alcohol use, etc. You took it through your job in plumbing, and then you moved out of the house. You stayed with a parent. You saved money to start to build your fitness business, which you run today. What changed for you? What did you at any time as you were building that fitness business have those same feelings of anxiety, those same feelings of self-doubt, or was it something you were able to overcome before you launched that business?
I was definitely more confident as I left my job, because I think I'd made that massive leap. Obviously people call it the big leap. Once you've made that kind of leap, you automatically have to level up. You've got no choice. Otherwise you'll just go back. And the thing is that they say about, the pain of change has to be, worse than the pain of staying the same. The pain of staying the same, I should say, has to be worse than the pain of change. Yeah, that's right. And that's what it was. It was staying the same was so painful and annoying and frustrating and filled with anxiety that the only thing left was to change. So
this is great because, sorry to jump in, because I've got written here, and I was going to ask you this question for your thoughts on it, knowing you as I do. I've just got a note here saying success usually follows a period of darkness. Yes. So that's kind of what's you're aligning to that by saying that you got to a point where staying where you were was so painful that the perceived change, the perceived pain of changing into something else and doing something else actually was a nicer path to go down.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously from then, it wasn't a matter of, oh, well, it's just easy from this point on. It was still fucking hard. And I had to deal with a lot of trials and tribulations from that moment as well. Like, I'd left the job and that was behind. And you know what, Paul? The weird thing is, for the first 2 years of me starting my business, every night I'd dream that I was a plumber.
No way.
I'd dream that I was a plumber. But here's the thing, right? Here's the weird thing. I'd dream that I was a plumber and I wasn't getting paid.
Okay, interesting.
That was me dream. I was dreaming that I was back there and I didn't have to be there, but I chose to be there.
Okay.
And it was weird. Every night I was like, in my dream, I was like, I don't have to be here. But
why am I here?
What the fuck am I doing here? Like, it was that I couldn't let go. Because obviously I'd been a plumber for 8 years.
Right.
I'd be the 8 to 4 cycle, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., every day. And it was just like, it was so difficult to let go and think, I'm running my own business. I'm my own boss. There's nobody on my back. Holy shit. What if this? What if that? Yeah. So then it developed, rather than anxiety, it more so developed into overthinking.
Ah, right. Okay.
Which was then the catalyst for my brain just going, fucking hell, what is going on? Just a million miles an hour with so many thoughts, not sure how to deal with them, which led me down the path of, right, how can I get clearer? And this has always been part of my journey all the time. Even to this day, I'm always thinking, how can I get clearer? Because the clearer, more concise that I get about who I am, what I believe in and where I'm going, the more powerful I feel.
Right.
And this is most people's problems, is the fighting fires all the time. Bit of this, bit of that, try this, try that. And it's cool to try new things, but there has to be a point where you have to, again, like we talked about at the start, focus inward, say, right, what do I really want?
Right.
What do I really believe? Where am I really going? Yeah. So back to your point, from making that change, there was still the frustration there. There was still the worry. There was, what if this, what if that? There was the time that I mentioned about the terrorist attacks in Tunisia. And it wasn't too long after that had happened. And I basically just said, look, like, if you put this into an analogy, people need to be physically fit to avoid danger. That was the basic message. I think the timing of that message was a little bit ill-timed because it was too raw.
Yeah.
And the papers got a hold of it. So my front page was on 40,000 newspapers going around the Northeast. Online, it was like a national campaign. And obviously all the comments, the hate, everything, people saying how disgusted they were and all that. Like, and the fact is, it wasn't meant to cause offense or even to cause a ruckus. I didn't even do it to get attention. It just brought attention to us. And I was like, shit, how do I deal with this? And again, when you've got 40,000 newspapers, when you walk into fucking Sainsbury's and see your face on the front page with a headline running into trouble, I'm like, holy shit, this is not good. And like, obviously,
public enemy number one, Luke.
Oh, honestly, terrifying though. Terrifying. And to be honest, like, I look back on it now and it was one of the best things that could have happened.
Right.
Because people forget about these things like that. They get instantly triggered. They have to say, you're a dick, fucking arsehole, that's it, gone. It's not like you're really negatively affecting anyone's life, because you're not. When you say something that's perhaps ill-timed, everyone's going to be offended in some way. But however, you know, they say if you're not causing controversy, you're not marketing hard enough, or you're not being yourself. And the fact is, it was a strong message. It was a harsh message. But even to this day, I still stand by the message. People need to be physically able to either defend themselves or run away. Like, this is a thing that we've got going on in life and society, is people's physical bodies are so out of shape that we wouldn't be able to outrun a dog if it attacked us, or we wouldn't be able to defend ourselves if we were attacked. And I think that was a big, strong message from me. Like, unfortunately, we are in a world where we need to be physically ready. And the thing is like Tony Robbins said, fear is physical. So the more physically strong, the more physically fit and able we are, we're able to you know, deal with fear and anxiety and frustration easier. You know, we know that as soon as we look after the body, we look after the mind as well. But anyway,
did you inherently find that when you were having trouble at school and then took up exercise?
Yeah, huge.
Do you think that was somehow unconsciously triggered in you to do, because we naturally have a propensity for physicality?
Yeah, absolutely. We're born to be physical.
Yeah.
Like, if you see a kid, very, you know, not many kids are lazy and sitting around. Kids just move. Yeah. They just move. They generate excitement, and they've got so much energy, haven't they? Kids have got so much energy, but what do they do all day? Fucking move.
Move around, yeah.
And then as we get older, we'll sit down more, we'll eat more crap, we don't move, we'll get fatter, we'll get sicker, we'll get less able, we get more tired, we suffer more mentally. But kids, you don't see many kids suffering with anxiety. Very few. Very few. They're usually quite happy and playful and active, right? There's a direct correlation between physical and mental health. Absolutely direct correlation. Any doctor worth the salt will tell you this, yeah? But going back to the original point, Paul, if I can just elaborate on that in terms of what happened from, because I'm trying to draw in some of the negatives that have happened. And although I view that whole newspaper fiasco as a negative time, when I look back on reflection, it brought a lot of eyes to me.
Right.
And now, whilst that, you know, a lot of people will instantly judge and be like, what a dick for saying that. That's fair enough. But since that moment, I've helped more people than ever. Change their mental habits, change their physical bodies. They say you've got to often piss off the herd to fire up the tribe. Right. I remember hearing that somewhere, and I was like,
that's almost a Dan Kennedyism, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's not the fact of saying, well, I'm actively going to be a dick. I'm just going to have a strong point on something which you're either going to agree with or you're not, and that's cool. But regardless, my intention every day is growth. Yeah. And it's to be the coach that empowers others. Yeah.
And to be the human that does as well, right?
Sorry?
Be the human that does as well.
Yes, exactly. And this is why I share a lot of personal stories from what happened. That is one of my intentions and purposes, to every day empower people, because unfortunately we have an epidemic of people who are lacking confidence, who have anxiety and depression issues, who have physical body issues and they're not in the best of shape, who have a lack of motivation, who have, you know, stresses and worries that could be dealt with better. And I'm hoping to give people another way. Rather than saying you should do this and you should do that. I've kind of changed my approach a lot over the years. And I feel like now I say, this is what I do, and this is what's worked for a lot of the guys that I help. You now have a choice whether you want to follow it or not.
Okay.
You know, it's all about freedom of choice. Like, every moment we're choosing this is it. After doing a lot of the work, Paul, and you'll know this yourself, like, we are the choosers of our feelings. And that's often a hard thing for people to get their head around. And it's still hard for me, because if I'm having a bad day, I have to physically tell myself, Luke, you're choosing to feel bad here. Luke, you're choosing this. Like, because I can choose whether to go to the gym or not go. I can choose whether to eat shit food and hide away and lock the doors and not see anybody. Or I can choose to get me ass to the gym, get a sweat on. I can choose to eat the good food, drink the water when I know I should stay hydrated. I can choose to get involved in a decent book that I could read one word from today and it could just perk me up. Or I could choose to get involved in my phone and compare my life to other people. And all these are choices. Like, every moment we're choosing. And this is a big thing for me, Paul. Like, understanding that the power that we have as individuals to choose differently. I'm not saying you can just say, I want to be happy now, and you'll pick it and have it, right? But it's amazing how much we choose to suffer. Like suffering, I really believe is a choice. I believe struggle and pain are part of the process and parcel of life. But I
Good.
believe
Yeah, absolutely.
ongoing suffering and not reaching out for help and asking for direction and seeking clarity is an absolute personal choice.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I love that. And it ties in wonderfully to what I was going to ask next is I'm big on having a personal philosophy.
Yeah.
So I'm big on running my life and helping my clients direct their life in a way that aligns with their highest values, in a
Yes.
way that has them turning up every day as authentically themselves. And these words and phrases have been done to death, but the fact that remains that, you know, if everyone just followed their own path, if everyone just became who they really were, just unpeel back the masks and the layers that are there, that overthinking thing that you spoke so eloquently about, and I believe you wrote a book about a little while ago.
I did, and I've got a free audio to give at the end of this as well.
Yeah, okay, great, fantastic. So with that in mind, what's Luke's personal philosophy?
There's, to be honest, there's a lot, and we're actually going through redoing these as well. I think a lot of the time as we get along and we expand, the views change, the values change.
Yeah.
Like what was important to me a year ago is not necessarily important to me now. Yeah, but I think like every day, like I say, I write the purpose. The purpose is expansion through self-creation. It's also to choose calm with constant excitement. That's a big thing. Calm and constant excitement. To be the coach that empowers others. Right. Evolve the passionate and energetic lover in me. That's a big thing for me as well. Like evolve that. That's why I'm doing these date nights every week. I've been doing them a couple of years now, and I'm labeling them and I'm numbering them because I'm like, I need this public accountability. There's a little tip there because they're
great as well. I mean, I've seen them on your Facebook feed and seeing where you're going and what you're up. This is just fabulous. It's a great way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it works. Yeah, so. Like I say, like as well, I think valuing, community is a huge thing for me. I run the Total Fitness Tribe in South Shields, and we are a community and a tribe of people who value self-confidence. Want to choose to feel empowered every day. Again, and like you say, I don't even need to take words out of your mouth, but being your authentic self is a definite big thing. That's why I share a lot of raw things and some things that trigger people along with, especially given the newspaper fiasco. That was just more less than anything. It was just an opinion. Some people liked it, some people didn't. That's cool. But putting, I think, you first is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a selfish way, like it's always about me. I mean, empower yourself first. Give yourself that first half an hour of the day where you say, no, it's my time. I get my workout in, I get my meditation in, I do my journal, I do my whatever it may be. Just something to make me feel in a state where I can empower others. Something where I can charge myself up with energy and confidence, because those are my two biggest values, I think, is energy and confidence. For me personally and for other people, I think everybody deserves to have a massive level of self-confidence. Right. Everybody deserves to have a huge level of personal energy. Because if you've got those two things, Paul, I think you feel absolutely unstoppable. Yeah. I think you feel like just like you can conquer the world. And I'm sure everybody would agree. And I would say as well, just to reiterate kind of what you said before, is most people are choosing what they think they should do rather than what they want to do. Yeah. And this is where a lot of anxiety and depression and frustration and confusion and overwhelm and overthinking come from. It's like, because your head's saying one thing and your heart's pulling you the other way, isn't it? You're like, you've got, this is what I should do. This is logistic. This is how the man should be, for example. But your heart's going, but I want to experience more of this. I should be given more time to my kids and my family. I should be given more time to my spirituality, my health and my body. But you need to work hard. You need to provide. You need to do this, yeah? And it's like this disconnection. But when you can line these up and get them working in sync so you can please appeal to both, that's a powerful place to be.
It's incredibly powerful, and I always tell people to look out for resistance.
Yes.
There's this whole thing around effort and struggle and strife and this sort of thing. Look, effort is good, putting effort into something is good, but struggling to do it, that's something completely different.
Yeah.
So if you're starting to feel that resistance, there needs to be an alignment check, which is kind of why I like the personal philosophy or the values or the creed by which you live by, because you can always come back to them. They're your sort of North Star. And they're the things that kind of drive you forward with the least amount of stress and resistance and fear and anxiety and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think another thing after that values thing is cooperation, not domination.
Yeah, that's great. I like that.
Because like I think when we get away from the us and them and the me and we, you know, we understand that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Like every choice is you know, not to sound too airy-fairy, but every choice that we put out there is going to affect the universe in some way. Every word spoken, every action taken, you know, everything that we do, say, the way we act is going to have some kind of effect out there.
Yeah. So
like one positive thing done today, imagine if everybody just done one positive thing, how much better the world would be.
No, absolutely.
The problem is we're so disconnected. And I remember I heard this recently and it really blew my mind, Paul, was everyone's saying they're distracted.
Right.
And we're distracted by these things, right?
Yeah.
But I heard it put in a different way, which really set into me, is that we're not so much distracted, we're overstimulated. And that was a huge thing. It's like we're so stimulated that we can't go like 5 minutes without being stimulated.
Without being stimulated again.
So it's the stimulation that we're craving, not necessarily the distraction. So when things are calm and things are quiet, this is why so many people struggle with meditation, isn't it? Because they can't fucking stay still.
No.
They can't sit for 5 minutes without needing to do something or needing to move or whatever. Like this is why a lot of us struggle, because we're overstimulated. So to go out in nature more, for example, to meditate more, to be in a good workout, which, let's be honest, when you're pushing through a hard workout, you're not distracted, you're focused. You fucking have to be, because you're going to die. If not,
you're going to injure yourself, yeah.
You fucking breathe and do the workout, do your push-ups or your squats or whatever you're doing, right? Or you run or whatever. So like that is in the moment stuff. That's kind of like active meditation if you
very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. So that I just wanted to point that out. Like that was for me a big switch around, a big perspective shift. Was it's not necessarily that we're distracted, it's we're overstimulated. So sometimes we need to start seeking the experiences which stimulate us less.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And taking joy in the simplistic of things, like going for a walk. You know, like going for a walk, hearing the sounds. No matter where you, let's say you're in a bar, even because this people recognize this. That like if I'm ever in a bar, sometimes I like to just sit and take in what's happening, rather than like need to be on my phone or need to be engaging with someone. Like just listen to what's going on and just see what people are doing, and you know, just be curious. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of life is we're not curious enough. We're just pessimistic and skeptical. I think they overtake curiosity a lot, and we're very much judgmental, and it's always like that's a load of shit. What about this? But this, but rather than actually, hang on, would life be more exciting? Would life be more engaging? Would life be more expansive? Would life be more challenging in a good way if we were just a little bit more curious? That's another one of my philosophies, is be curious.
I'm curious.
Because initially, especially as men, Paul, right, we'll be the most skeptical fuckers out there. Yeah. Like, that's a load of shit. Yeah. That's fucking bullshit, that, like, all the time. And we'll judge, like, you know, meditation, like, is for one, is like any man who's new to meditation just thinks that it's fucking monks or hippies with their crossed legs and they do that. That's literally what I thought it was a decade ago. So straight away, like, your brain just shuts off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But what if we allowed, no matter what idea comes our way, what philosophy, what religion, whatever, you just be a little bit more curious? That, to me, was a huge thing for helping me step forward, because there's always going to be stuff which come in your way which you're going to immediately disregard. But there could be something in that which might change your life forever. Like, I went to spend 3 days with Buddhist monks earlier in the year. Now, if you told me a decade ago to go and do that, I would have said, fuck off. Are you fucking mad? But I went to, now obviously a lot of what they do is not what the kind of thing that I would do regularly. It's very much their way of living, their religion. But however, I was constantly curious and I took a lot from there. And one thing I did take is that they are happy with less. Everything that they own, they could keep in one fucking carrier bag.
Right.
but they are the happiest guys you'll ever meet. And happiness is not contained in what we get. It's contained in who we become.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing. I know that's a phrase that's been thrown around quite a lot, but after seeing it in the monks, because I was curious, that reminded me, holy shit, like, I don't have to get more stuff or need more stuff to be happier.
No.
You know,
it's an internal state anyway.
Yeah.
It's something, as you say, you become. It's not something you attain.
Yes.
And I think that is such a mind expanding philosophy to come up with in your everyday life. And if you can put that in your everyday life, you look at things with a new perspective, and it's that increased perspective, that different perspective, that enables you to grow and expand and express yourself as who you truly are, and really just leads you to a calm, creative, non-competitive type of life. Actually, do you know what? You reminded me. Create, not compete was a phrase I once read in Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles, right, which was written in something like 1903.
Right.
Which is staggering when you think about it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That this philosophy has been around for generations, and yet we're just coming back to it now.
Yeah.
But when you do that and you discover there's no competition, you lose the desire to have to continually prove yourself.
Yes.
You use the desire to have to, identify with things that are just literally toxic or damaging to yourself. Yeah. And you can just go about your life and do magnificent stuff. And anyone's got that potential.
Yeah.
And it comes down to exactly what you said, a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Do you. You just said it. Do you. Yeah. And nothing to hide, nothing to prove. That's a beautiful state to be in.
Brilliant state.
But most people have everything to prove and a lot to hide.
Yeah.
And that's where we get confused.
You met my family, clearly.
Yeah. But honestly, people hide it. Like, I always say to people, hiding never works. No. Obviously, I run a private gym. And just like everybody, we have people who sometimes don't turn up. And mostly the reason why they don't turn up is because they're hiding. They just can't be bothered, or they're going through something and they're like, it's easier to stay away and say no and close the doors and stay warm, especially when it's cold. And I'm like, look, it doesn't work. Another thing that I learned from the monks is everything that they do, they're very particular about the ceremonies and the way they eat and the way they meditate and type of things.
Right.
And the guy said to me that one of the reverends said, everything we do has a use and a purpose.
Right,
you
interesting.
Need to start asking in your life, is this useful? Not is it right or wrong? Is it useful?
Was you able to bring that into your life?
Oh, hell yeah. But do I still do things that are not useful? Of course I fucking do. I'm fucking human. I spent the first 30 years of my life learning shit that wasn't useful. I spent most of school learning 80% of shit that wasn't fucking useful that I never used. And then I went to my job, and half of my job I spent doing things that weren't useful. This is what we do. And then we attach to the weekends and the drink and everything else. And although it's exciting at times and it gives us a way out and it stimulates us momentarily, it's not actually useful long term.
No.
When we overuse, there's a difference here, because having a couple of drinks with a meal on a Saturday night is very different than going out and having 12 double vodkas and a gram of Coke.
Yeah.
That's very different. Yeah. See, that was the behavior I used to do. It wasn't like a glass of wine with my meal or a pint with a curry. It wasn't like that. It was just excessive behavior. And it's finding the balance, isn't it? Because a lot of people, I think, just going back to that, people will justify their behaviors which aren't useful because they've worked hard and they deserve it. Where it's like, I honestly believe that we don't deserve shit. We earn it. And that's not me saying just work hard, hustle. I'm just saying, look, if you want something, earn it. Earn it. Don't just work hard, kill yourself, graft, produce, and then disregard your health for days on an end, or like just do something just because everybody else is.
Everybody else does it, yeah.
Yeah, and like if you are really being in your heart here, it's like, what's pulling you? What's pulling you, not what's pushing you. And this was another big lesson. This could be a Tony Robbins thing, actually. I'm not sure. But if we push, it's hard. If we pull, it's more compelling. Yeah. And in life, we need to start following those things that compel us, that pull us. And then that's the thing as well that I can relate back to what I said before, was curiosity. If you're curious, you're like, oh, let's give us a little bit more on that. I'm pulled. Yeah, I'm not like... When you're pessimistic and skeptical, what do? You push away.
Push away, yeah.
When you're curious, Come a bit closer. Let me know a little bit more.
Mm.
Maybe I could take something useful for that. I might not agree with 99% of what you said, but that 1% could change my life.
Life changing, yeah.
Curiosity as well. Funny enough, because when we think back to the phrases that we learned, Paul, curiosity did what? Killed the cat.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound fucking very appealing, does it, to follow it?
No, especially not if you're a cat.
Exactly. And especially if you're a cat lover like me.
Like
I'm
you,
like,
yeah.
oh, God, don't think about that. But it's these things, isn't it? Like, we don't get taught that in school.
No.
Be more curious, yeah? Open your ears, open your eyes, open your heart. Like, think that, somebody might be doing something crazy or out there, or what you might view as disgusting or just weird.
Mm.
But why are they doing it? What are they getting out of it? Is it useful? If it's not, okay, don't do it. I remember hearing, I think it was Dan John, the coach, the strength coach. You know Dan John, yeah?
Yeah.
He said what was it? If it's useful, do it every day. If it's not useful, don't do it at all.
Don't do it at all, yeah.
Great phrase, that, isn't it?
Great phrase, yeah.
Fucking great phrase.
Yeah. It's so simple as well. So simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Simple. Simplicity is the way to an easier life, isn't it?
Mm.
Simplicity is
and yet we make it so complicated.
Yes, we do. And because I think a lot of us as well, it's the skepticism of saying it can't be that simple.
No,
it's supposed to be this way. It should be this way. Well, what about the way it could be?
Mm.
What about what it could be over here? But no, it has to be here in this area. But there's an area here that you're not looking at. But it doesn't matter about that because this is the way it should be. Right? But what about could be? It might be. Until eventually it must be this way. Like it must be a way that's more useful and serving to me, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. So we're in a new decade, we're in a new year. 2020, it's a great analogy. 2020 vision, clarity, clear, awareness, perception. What's next for you? Where are you going next, Luke?
Well, that's a good question, actually. I've just been in my business quarterly. I've quite a few things that I want to achieve over the coming year. Obviously, I've still got the gym, which is going strong. I'm also actually opening a coffee shop.
Nice. I'm seeing little posts from time to time about that. And I know you love a coffee.
Yeah, I do. Exactly. I'm drinking one now. Speciality, of course. Got some original square mile in here, I think. But I'm going to be opening a coffee shop. We're going to be bringing specialty coffee to South Shields, which doesn't currently have a specialty coffee shop at all.
Right, okay.
So we're going to be the first, and we're going to be just bringing something a little bit like an alternative to Starbucks, a little bit culture. Yeah. We've just got our office up and running, which we're in the minute of doing out completely in our business, which is our first proper like full size big office.
Right.
Which is again looking to expand to further things. Speaking gigs are on the horizon. Got a few of them lined up as well. Obviously we've got a lot of things going on with the gym and things like that, but I want to try and get a good holiday in as well during the year. But more so it's actually for me when I was going over, because I was talking about this, we're talking about outcomes 2020. And one of the main things I noticed was what I need more of to be able to make sure that I achieve these goals is more public accountability.
Right.
More of telling more people, but not just that, is the numbering and labeling of things.
Okay.
Quantifying it. This is a huge thing to make sure that you're getting something done. And one thing I've also found as well, let's say you've got 3 things you want to do in 2020. What I find is much more useful and more attainable is actually if you label those 3 things into 50 tasks.
Okay.
Because when the brain goes, well, there's 50, it means I can chip away. If it's just 1, 2, or 3, it's like, it's probably a big task that it's quite overwhelming. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like the date nights, right? My target for this year's date nights was 50 date nights.
Right.
But every week I'd just mark them off and I'd get this certain sense of satisfaction by saying 21, 22, 23, 24. And it was less overwhelming than going, I've got to hit 3 big ones. Do you know what I mean? It was like one a week. And as I started marking them off, I felt more powerful every week. And I was like,
it generates its own, it generates its own energy. It generates its own momentum, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm on track for that. I think I'm on 42 this week. 42 is coming up this week, so I've got to try and fit a few more in. But regardless, even if I find that I won't get to the big number, let's say I don't get to 50, I'm getting most of the way.
Yeah,
which is a huge win in itself. And I think that's most people's problems, is like they beat themselves up for not getting somewhere where they don't realize how far they've came.
They've come. Yeah.
And this is a huge thing. And that's big for me, Paul. Like, I beat myself up so much over the years because of what I didn't do, rather than give myself credit for what I did. And then when you look back in reflection of fucking hell, let's say, for example, I got 46 date nights. A lot of people go, well, I didn't get the 50. It's like you have a financial target. Fuck, well, I didn't get to that 10 grand, but you got to the 7. And before that, you were only at 2. You know, and you don't give yourself credit for that increase in that expansion. Well, I was supposed to do this 100 times. Yeah, but you did it 79. And the previous year, you only did it 4. Oh, but it doesn't matter. I didn't get that. And it's like, we're focused so much on the outcome rather than thinking, well, who have I become in the process? I've had all this learning, this growing, and I've built these habits along the way as well, which we seldom do we give ourselves credit for building a new habit. Hardly ever do we say, I'm really proud of me for building this new habit. Like, how many times do people say that?
No.
Hardly ever. It's always just about what they fucking didn't do.
Yeah.
I didn't do it again. I'm such a fucking loser. I've got no willpower. What's the point? I've got no.
I'm not going to bother, blah, 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 and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the other side to look at it is if you've had, if you only get 46 date nights, you've had 46 amazing nights with someone special.
Oh, yeah.
And that's priceless, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only what has that done, like that, if you expanded that, right, what have you learned from it? Well, I've built more connection with my partner. I've built more development in the relationship. I've helped her feel more relaxed and less stressed. I've improved my sex life. I've improved the consistency in me planning things. I've actually went and experienced different things that I wouldn't have experienced had I not planned in this goal, So for me, in terms of going back to your question, lots of things written down.
Right.
But most importantly, I think for me, moving forward, is to be more quantifiable with things, break them down into a certain longer term rather than just, let's say for a financial target, just achieve this financial target. Say, right, if it's a financial target, how can I break it into 20 steps rather than say just one? And how can I just hit the steps? So it doesn't create much overwhelm and it just moves you towards, because that's the thing with goal setting and progress, isn't it? You're here, you want here, close the gap.
Yeah.
It's just closing the gap.
It's just like training. It's exactly like training. You want to deadlift or bench press 200 kilos or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You don't focus on the 200 kilos. You focus on the 80 kilos where you're at and then look for the 85.
Yeah, exactly. Funny you should say that, because I've got a squat, double bodyweight squat that I want to achieve. So at the minute, I haven't tested for a while, but I've been squatting 3 times a week. Obviously, if you follow my Facebook, you'll see me squatting 3 times a week. I always upload the video as well. That's another thing. I'm going to hit 300 training sessions this year. So I'm going to be uploading the numbers of them sessions to make sure that I'm on track. So again, it's like I've got a double bodyweight squat. I'm maybe 20 kilo behind there. All I need to do is get on an extra kilo. Kilo here, kilo there. Just make sure I'm progressing up, yeah? If I'm working with 100, I want to be working with 105 in the next couple of weeks. That's the thing, like you say, you strive for the next one, don't you? You
do indeed. Well, look, we could go on and on and on. It's been totally amazing. And as always, you give great value, totally authentic, totally heart-centered, and real. And I appreciate you for that. And I appreciate you
honestly, it's great.
I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk with me, and I'd love to do it again at some point. There's so many places we could go with it, but I just want you to let everyone know where they can find you, where they can connect with you moving forward, Luke.
Cool. So you can check out my Facebook, Luke John Harrison, and my Instagram, Luke John Harrison, and also more importantly, I think, is to download a free copy of my audiobook, which is at overthinkingaudio.com. And that's overthinkingaudio.com. Basically, all you need to do is enter your email address. You'll get it sent to your inbox. You'll also get my free daily emails, which you can opt out of at any time. But they're very much based around what we've just been talking about. It's basically daily motivation to your email box, if you so choose it, or you can get the book and then get rid of me.
Why would you want to, Luke? Why would you want to? Let's be perfectly honest.
Yeah, well, exactly. But yeah, that's basically it. I do, like I say, at the minute, my big thing is getting my audiobook out there, getting people listening to it, reading the daily emails. Obviously, I do a lot on the social media. That is a platform that I'm very much using, the Facebook and the Instagram right now. I share stories every day, and one of the biggest things one of the biggest wins of this year actually is business-wise is I've produced the upgraded Daily Boom, which you've probably seen a few of, which is my daily video series, again, based on philosophies, motivation, mental health, physical health, everything in between, just to basically give daily value. And I've been doing this for over 1,000 episodes now, and it's a daily occurrence. And again, one of my values is being consistent and empowering other people, and I do that via my content. And I say this as well, Paul, I'll kind of leave on this note, like, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, I have around 1,200 videos on social media now, at least. That's just ones I've labeled, right? And I say to people, look, if obviously I've got so much content out there, more than most people, but people aren't using it as effectively as what they could. And I say to people, if you just applied 1% of those videos, which would equate to like 30, 40 videos, probably, your life would change forever. Like forever. If you just took that stuff and used it in your everyday life, everything would change. But what most people do is they just consume. They just consume rather than absorb and create.
Absorb and create, yeah.
Yeah, and this is a problem that we have. It's give us more info. Can I have more info? People ask for more info. So for anybody watching this, one thing that I would definitely say is it's not more information, it's more action. And rather than asking, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? Ask who. Who can help me get there? Because we can't do this on our own.
No, we can't.
I have coaches. I've invested so much in courses and mentors and books and all the rest. Like, we always need wisdom and knowledge and accountability from other people.
Yeah.
Information's great, but it's only powerful if we apply it. And I say to people, look, I've got over 1,000 videos. If you applied 1%, your life would change. It's not about consuming information. It's about absorbing and creating.
Perfect. Great wisdom to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much, Luke. And
More than welcome, Paul.
this for 2020.
Thank you very much, man.
Pleasure.